Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, folks, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Get ready for today's episode because it's going to be a banger. Today, we're taking a wild ride through the world of air-cooled engines, road trip rescues, mechanical mysteries, and one man's lifelong obsession with Volkswagens. He's not just a DJ who can drop a beat. He's a guy who's lived in his VW bus. He's in it right now, and it's behind me, as you can see. He even turned it into a mobile DJ booth. He built an entire YouTube channel documenting the beautiful chaos of vintage car restoration. Used to be a news reporter. So, from a news reporter to a barn full of VWs, from a father-son wrenching sessions to crazy DJ gigs, this man has done it all. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the podcast, Mr. Todd Prater.
Hey, how you doing, Joe?
What's up, sir? How's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastic. I'm sitting in the bus. It couldn't get much better.
That's right, man. I see the logo behind you. I see the bust out, and it's behind me as well. Todd, I know today's going to be awesome, man. You got some great energy. I just want to give real quick a couple shout outs to my sponsors, and then we're going to dive right into your episode. Before we get going, obviously, shout out to Volksmania magazine. I feel it's the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. If you're a U.S. subscriber and you subscribe, use DubLife 10 at checkout, DUBLIFE, the number 10 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off your subscription. Also, this episode sponsored by Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is all things VW events and swag. Make sure you check them out. They got the same discount code, so use DubLife 10 at checkout. This only is going to work on merch. So any of the events or any of that kind of stuff, the DubLife 10 will not work. It's just on merch. They got some awesome sunglasses, some cool trucker hats, all VW inspired. Check those guys out, saltydub.com. And then my last shout out is to my buddy Jeffrey Cantu. He has a fairly large Facebook group called VW Club of Florida. And he reached out to me this week and said, hey man, you can have it. So pretty cool. I inherited a page with several thousand followers. So shout out to my buddy Jeff. Thank you, man, for the trust. I'll keep you in the loop and I won't let you down. All right, my man. I'm excited for this one. You seem like a pretty interesting guy. I feel like after talking to Adam Simpson, anybody that's connected to Adam is probably going to be pretty damn cool. So back to you.
Yeah, Adam's my little brother, man. I met him when he was 15 at a Volkswagen show, believe it or not. He was driving a Westie back then, and of course, I was driving the one I'm in now. So
yeah, he was a special guy. Sometimes when you meet with people, you can just tell. Just spending a few, almost couple hours with him, I could just tell. So let me ask you, man, how do you describe yourself these days? Are you a DJ? Are you a news reporter? Or are you a VW nut? Are you a YouTuber?
All the above.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes I actually write my news stories in the bus, depending on where we are. Got a little 13-foot trailer that I'll take sometimes, use it to write, but usually at home or at the office. But yeah, I write news. We do an online newscast also, so I get to do print, video, audio. I have 40 years in radio, and so I was a radio DJ. Actually, I'm filling in for a local DJ right now in the mornings, and I also DJ our Volkswagen show every year.
Okay.
So I've been doing it all, and I do a YouTube. I have a Prater's Mechanical Mystery Tour. It's a YouTube channel that my sons and I, sometimes my wife helps out. We're working on not only our old Volkswagens, but we have old Falcons and old Ford trucks. And just, we like to work on old cars. But I think of all of it, my passion started probably with Volkswagens when I was really little and my dad had a 66 Bug.
Yes. That's how we're going to start this whole thing, because that's when I got your history. That's kind of where it started. So take me back, man. How does a 1-year-old even become a VW fanatic?
Well, and I think I sent you that picture that shows me touching my dad's car. To me, back then, all Volkswagen Beetles were daddy's cars. So if I saw one, it's like daddy's car. My dad had was a Java Green one. Yeah, Java Green. One of my sons just said, "Here, you got to correct me, Donnie." Java Green with tan interior Beetle, and that's the first car I remember him having. And we were living in Huntsville, Alabama at the time. My dad was managing a store in Huntsville for my grandfather, and we would travel to Birmingham, which is where mom's from and where my grandparents lived. And I would sleep in the luggage compartment back above the engine, and that's how I would travel between. I'm sure that the safety people today would love that, but that's where I
Maybe
was
trying to
traveling.
arrest your dad.
Yeah, really, probably so. But I have vivid memories about that, and I don't know why. I remember the smell. I remember the sound and sleep at the engine. And I can remember specifically one time we were traveling. It was raining, and we had a flat tire. And Mom and I sat in the car, and Dad, God bless him, in the rain, went out and changed it. I can still remember sitting on Mom's lap and feeling the front of the car go up. It was
Wow.
fun. That bug has so many. And then Dad traded that in for a '67 bus. So that
Yes.
was my next memory, was a '67 bus, which we still had both of those. My dad's a musician, and he was driving that bus. I mean, there's a surprise, a musician with a hippie bus. Golly. And, but he was a jazz musician. He played saxophone, and he had a case, had his saxophone in a case in the back, and the hatch hadn't closed all the way. And he went around a curve, the hatch opened, and the case skidded across the pavement. So he went and retrieved it. He's still got that case, and every time he pulls it out, he says, "You know how these scratches got here, don't you?" I went, "Yeah, that old
Nice.
bus."
Was there in your childhood, was there a specific moment or maybe even a specific age where it came to you, dawned on you, where you said, okay, this VW stuff, man, this is going to be a lifelong passion of mine?
I can't think of a specific moment. I think when Dad traded off the bus and I think that's when he got the Buick. He had a '67 Buick after that.
How old were you when that happened?
About three. It was right before we moved back to Birmingham. And I think at that point I was thinking, wait a minute, we don't have a bug, we don't have a bus. This isn't right. So for years we didn't. And it was probably, I guess it was in 1980 when I finally said, that's enough. I got to have another bug. I was in high school, and we were living in Hoover, Alabama at the time. Well, my parents still live there. And just around the corner from where we live, the guy had a little '66 bug, and one day it had a for sale sign on it. So we bought it, and I was driving it for a long time too. We actually still have that car too.
That's the '66 sunroof bug.
Well, no, that was the next one I got the year later.
Okay. Okay.
Which we also still have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do your sons also, are they involved with the VW scene as well?
They are as fanatical as I am. My son Donnie, sitting right here, is probably more so than my other son Drew. Donnie, come over here and say hey.
What's up?
My son Donnie, probably more so than Drew. Here you go. There's Donnie. Hey, Donnie.
What's up? Sitting listening.
What's up, brother?
Nothing much, man.
He is actually a master mechanic. Oh, excuse me. He does all the mechanic work. Matter of fact, he just got this bus running again. I was doing all the work. And when he was little, I don't know maybe it was the onesie I got him when he was like 6 hours old that said future driver, and it was tie-dye.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just nature. I don't know. Or it may be genetic, because my dad's a Volkswagen fanatic, But he's always been into it. I got pictures of him with Volkswagen and Herbie toys, pictures of my other son, Drew, the same way.
Yeah,
so
cool,
I think
man.
it runs in the genes.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to Heinz, which is what you're in, right?
Right, Heinz.
Yeah, 69 Westy.
69 Westy. I got him in 1998 when I was working, running a radio station in Demopolis, moved back to Birmingham, living with Mom and Dad, looking for a place to live. So I was able to save up some money. And they went off on a vacation in their motorhome. And I thought, now this is the time. Because my mom is not, let's just say she's not as much a car fanatic as Dad and the rest of us. And she would threaten my life. Don't you put any of that junk in my... So they went off to wherever it was, and I decided it was time to find a bus. I needed one. I wanted one. Had some money saved up. And at the time, on South Side in Birmingham, it was actually safe to go down there at that time, and you could go find buses all over the place. I was really looking for a split window, which were fairly plentiful, and well, maybe not plentiful, but you can still find them. But I didn't. I drove past the spot and I saw Hines sitting there, and he spoke to me. And it dawned on me, wait a minute, you know what? I love to go camping. I love Volkswagens. I love buses, and I love the 60s. When he said, I'm yours, it's kind of like a cat adopts you. Well, he adopted me.
Yeah.
I literally paid the girl, and there's another story too. But I paid the girl, drove the bus home, left my truck because I didn't want her to change her mind. had a friend come pick the truck up and bring it. The funny thing though is it was in the driveway. It needed a little bit of work, because it needed a little bit of engine work. So I was pulling the engine, working on it, doing stuff. And my parents came home from vacation. My mom looked at it. Her face dropped. She didn't speak to me for 3 days. I mean, it was dead silence. My little nephew, who at the time was probably about 3 or 4 years old, was climbing around playing in it. And my mom looked inside and goes, well, I didn't know there was a little house in here. I said, that's why I got it, Mom. It's a camper. It was okay after that. She still don't want me to park in the front yard. So at one point, I actually set my awning, all my camp, everything. This is Hoover, Alabama, okay? High in houses. I set up everything, the whole campsite in the front yard where everybody could see it. And then she came home to that. That was a fun day.
Yeah. So I've got a similar story.
Yeah.
When I bought my 72 Standard Beetle in 96, I was fresh out of high school. I remember the first day I brought it home, my dad was surprised that I would buy a car like that, number one, and number two, that I would park it in his driveway, right? Like, why, when you could have all these other cars? I'm like, yeah, man, those cars don't move me like these ones do.
Right.
So I understand that through and through. Now, you mentioned having a barn full of parts and full of cars. When I hear that type of stuff, my interest perks. So I'm interested. How many cars do you actually have?
Well, we counted up. Now, just Volkswagens or all together?
Let's go all together.
Okay. I think Donnie's thinking is somewhere in the neighborhood of 40.
Wow.
It's about 40.
It's about 40. Now, I mean, they don't all run by any means.
Sure. How about just Volkswagens then?
Just Volkswagens?
Probably 20.
About 20, 25, yeah.
Wow.
And we got lots of parts, yeah. There's only 1 or 2 of them that are running. Now, we also have, Donnie just bought a water-cooled, he bought a 84 Jetta, and I've got an 88 Fox also. They're not running right now, but I used to drive the Fox. And it'll be running again real soon. But we, like I said, we have a disease. It's, I don't know, Volkswagens or something. I don't know what you call it. Yeah.
I want to chat about Donnie real quick though, because I know you mentioned his past, his passion, his mechanical wizardry. Where's he get it from? Is he professionally trained, or is this just something that's come with his knack over time?
It's just, I taught him the basics that I learned from my dad, and then he started taking it and watching YouTube videos, reading.
Oh, yeah.
When he was little, and I mean, like, what were you, about 5 or 6 years old? He, when most of us go to the bathroom, we take a Volkswagen magazine. He was taking repair manuals, except he'd say, Dad, can I look at your prepare manual? And I said, sure. So he'd read the prepare manuals. And so he learned. I've never seen anybody who could look at a wiring diagram, or not even a wiring diagram, look under the dashboard and go, oh, I see.
Wow.
So anything electrical, he does it.
Yeah, no, that Donnie, that's a gift, brother.
It is. He's an amazing young man, and I am thoroughly proud of my boy right there. There you go.
Yeah, man, that's a gift. That's awesome. I'm not that mechanically inclined. I wish I was at times, because it would save me a bunch of money. But it's okay. I'm not, and it's quite all right.
Well, we're learning a lot together. Of course, there was a time when I was the teacher. Now I'm the student.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So that happens with our kids, and I welcome that. I'm like excited for that. I've got kids that are late teens, 19, all the way down to 14, and then I've also got a 5-year-old.
Oh,
I've got 5 kids, 4 boys.
Oh, excellent. We got 3. The first one came with a package deal with my wife, and I made 2 of them, Donnie and Drew. So he's 20 and Drew is 17, yeah.
Now you recently mentioned that Donnie scored you an Okrasa kit for your 63.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to know what an Okrasa kit is. So if you don't mind, would you guys explain why it's so special?
Donnie, I'm going to let you take that.
Well, you can look back, and you've probably heard of the Wolfsburg West Okrasa kit for the 36 horse engines. I can't remember the actual names, but it was a couple of mechanical engineers and machinists in Germany who had Beetles. This is in the 50s when there was only 36 horse Beetles, and even 25 horse. They were advertised for both 25 and 36 horse Beetles. And so they came up with a kit, an engine performance kit to add, I think it was advertised like 50 horsepower with just the top end kit. Yeah. And you could get upwards of 80 if you did the cam and a crank and some other stuff, I think.
You're talking about a 25 horse engine.
Yeah. Know? So, I mean, you're talking about over double the horsepower.
Wow.
And whatnot. And Wolfsburg West now remanufactures them and remakes them. And you can get them. But what people don't know is that when Volkswagen came out with the 40 horse engine, I think the ones they based it off of were actually the bastard 40 horse engine from the 59 buses that were known for the crankshaft failures. And they're technically 36 horse engines that look like the 40 horse engines. Well, they got a hold of those engines and used it to make the Okrasa kit, the upgraded performance kit for the new generation of Volkswagen engines. But I don't know how long they sold those for, but they did have a kit for the 40 horse engines. And actually, I think in Switzerland, you could actually order from the dealership Volkswagen with a dealership installed Okrasa kit. And there's like one or two of those left. I think there's a guy who has one. It's a 64 or 5 Beetle that has a dealership installed Okrasa kit for a 40 horse engine.
Wow.
And it even has like a little plaque on the dash. It says like, warning, Okrasa kit, high horsepower. You know, it's like, but I
better hold on.
We had a local Volkswagen buddy of ours who goes to all these swap meets and whatnot. He had found one in Tennessee. I think it was at the Bugapalooza. I'd have to ask him. I'm not 100% sure. And he bought it, never did anything with it. And I saw it and I thought, wow, this is awesome. A really unique piece of history, especially since they don't remake those. Mm-hmm. You can get the ones for the 36 horse engines. They do not make them anymore for the 40 horse engines. And so having not just the top end kit, but I also have the counterweighted or counterbalanced
crankshaft,
69 millimeter crankshaft, and the performance camshaft for the bottom end as well. So I have the full kit and the lightweight 8-dowel flywheel. The all original says Okrasa on it from the early 60s. You know, we're talking about 60-year-old parts here that, you know, they don't make anymore. And I got it for a really, really good deal. And so what I want to do is build it for our 63 ragtop Beetle that we want to do a Herbie replica out of, which is that in itself is a unique car and a pretty funny story about how Dad got that car. Oh, yeah. But from the factory, it was a 63 ragtop deluxe Beetle in L87 pearl white. It was exactly what Herbie was from the factory.
Yeah.
So
we're just gonna hop the engine up a little bit. He wanted to keep the original engine in it.
Maybe it really will take off on a wheelie.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that, but maybe we'll try. We'll try.
So I can imagine, you know, that just listening to his knowledge and his passion for Volkswagens, I can imagine it's been a pleasure to see that and that passion evolve. So let me ask you both. I got a question. I want both of you to take your own stance and your own answer. All right. All right. Let's go with Donnie first. Donnie, what's so unique about the VW community?
I think it's one of the only communities out of the entirety of the car culture where you can get along with everybody. Everyone is immediately your friend. Everyone's willing to help. Everyone's willing to just lend a helping hand. You know, like I said, you know, we got friends around here that they'll literally just give us stuff. This bus, for instance, Dad said this past Monday, I finally got it running because I needed a new mustache bar for it. since the one I had wouldn't fit. And I had to get one so I can modify it to fit this engine because it's a Type 1 engine, and the Type 2, that the Type 1 engine doesn't have the mustache bar holes for it. So I had to get one of those aftermarket.
It's a temporary engine.
Yeah, one of those aftermarket adapter plates. And anyway, it wasn't lining up. And a buddy of mine found one and said, "You can have it. I don't need it." You know, he could have charged me $100 for it, and I would have paid $100 for it. But he said I could have it just because I needed it. You know?
Yeah.
You can literally go anywhere, find a Volkswagen guy, and become friends.
Yeah, exactly. I would have to agree with him on that because
we need to tell him about Fabian.
I was just thinking about Fabian. Yeah, I got to tell you about my friend who broke down here. But I agree. What Donnie said is exactly the same thing I would say. Is that, and you know, I do, like I say, I've got Falcons and old Ford trucks, and we love hot rods. We just like cars. This is our biggest passion. But of all the groups of people that you get to hang out with in the car culture, the most down to earth, laid back, and the most fun, and again, the friendliest, most willing to help are the people in the Volkswagen community. You know, I mean, now, obviously there's it's humans, so there's different personalities. But I would dare say that of all the years I've been doing this, 99% of them are fun to be around. And even if I hadn't seen them in a long time, pick up the phone, talk to them. Hey, great, yeah, come on up. You know, it's a great group of people.
I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Yeah.
That's why I decided to do this podcast. I feel like what your son said, Donnie, what you said is everywhere you go, you know, it seems like you can't meet a stranger. Everybody's friendly. Well, for me, I kept noticing that everybody was so unique and had their own stories. And a lot of these Volkswagen people, they've been a part of Volkswagen since they were little, you know, and they had them in high school, and they have all these memories with them. And you really, everywhere you go, and you guys know this, if you're in an old Beetle or if you're in a bus, you're going to get stopped somewhere, and somebody's going to tell you about that time they were in high school, and
exactly,
the girlfriend had that car, and the boyfriend did this, and this happened, and it's like, man, so it really is kind of almost a connection piece in our history.
You know, it's funny because back about 20 years ago, maybe 25, anyway, about 25 years ago, because it was right after I got this bus, I started to do what you're doing. But YouTube wasn't a big deal. And I was just trying to get people to email stories, and there wasn't enough. You couldn't spread it enough.
Right.
So, and I may still have some of those stories, but yeah, and the same exact reason, because everybody has a story, and if they don't have a story, it's somebody that they hung out with in high school, or somebody else. Yeah, always somebody had a connection with me.
That's right. And I feel that too. And I also feel like there are some other VW podcasts out there, but they're a little bit more about maybe the performance and the race culture, which is fine for a lot of people. But I want to celebrate the people.
See, that's one of the things, like when in the news stories that I do, I really prefer doing human interest stories and talking about, you know, history and people and things that make life. I like to talk about the spice of life. I don't care about politics and the crud. I like what makes life actually interesting. And what you're doing is that very thing. What makes the Volkswagen community interesting? These stories right here.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So speaking of these stories, give me one of your best road trips, you know, in a positive light. Give me one of your best experiences that's a highlight for your life.
Oh my gosh. That's a hard one because there have been so many. I guess one of the first one that pops into mind was right before he was born. My wife and I took Hines and went to Florida, went and you know, just camped down in Florida for a weekend. I did that actually another time. I was DJing a show down there, so I took Hines and DJ'd him down there. But you know, another one would be, again, before Donnie was born, we had what we called the Alabama getaway. It turned into the freeze out for a while. And a bunch of bus folks would get together in Tuskegee National Forest, which is, you can camp anywhere. And I met people then, and this would have been in 2004, because right before he was born. I met people then that are still good buddies that I talked to. Matter of fact, the phone that just rang, he was one of them.
Yeah.
One of the things about this, like you say, not only do people stop you, but the people you meet and the trips that you go on, there's not really a negative trip.
Yeah.
Even if you break down, there's a positive that makes it.
That's what I was going to I was going to touch on that, right? Because I always try to evolve that. So how about give me a good rescue story, a good breakdown story, because I know we all have them because these cars break down.
Which one are you thinking of? I'm
thinking of the
two cylinders.
Oh, okay. Well, there's like 3 of them I both think of.
Well, the one I'm thinking of is I was not, I drove this bus as a daily driver. I mean, we still do use it all the time. This is one of the things when we take the whole family somewhere, this is where we go in. Well, my other Falcon, but it's a little cramped compared to this. But I was working on, I was going to work, going to a job, and was on Interstate 459, which circled the bottom of Jefferson County, Alabama, and was heading towards the Bessemer area. And the engine lost power, and there was big blue smoke out of the back. Now, this engine I had bought with a bunch of parts for $100. And so basically I paid $50 for an engine. $1641, so it was not bad, but it lost power. And I had been in the bus for about 2.5 years at this point. And I went back to the deck, opened up the deck lid, and everything looked kind of normal. The way it acted and the noise, it didn't make any sound whatsoever. I assumed that the heads were coming loose. So I thought, you know what? It may have leaked some oil, and you can see oil. So I popped off the oil and then drove about 2.5 miles to the exit and another mile or so to a gas station, which happened to be in Adam Simpson's backyard. Called him, and he pulled me to his house. About a week or so later, we were in our barn that I was telling you about. We pulled the engine out, and Adam says, Todd, I think I found your problem. When I walked around, there was a rod sticking through the top of the case. So when we pulled the engine out, Adam said, I think I found your problem. And there was a rod sticking through the top of the case. So when we finally split it and tore it all the way down, the other rod, this was 1 and 4.
Yeah, 1 and 4.
Yeah, 1 and 4. the 2 closest to you. The other rod was jammed in the support structure in the case. The one rod came through the top of the case, but the other 2 cylinders worked fine. I cranked the car, I cranked it up and drove on 2 cylinders about 3 miles, and it didn't skip or anything. It just didn't have enough power.
Right. Crazy.
So, and of course Adam saved me. Should I tell him about the
I'm thinking of Old Yeller.
Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you about that one. Yeah. Another
let
Adam.
me hear about it. Good. I love the name already. Hey, and by the way, young man, when I was young, that movie came out. All right, Old Yeller. Did you ever see the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, me too. Great movie.
Well, Old Yeller is actually a 70 Ford F100. And Adam, Adam was one that Adam's dad had given. Well, his dad still had it then. We were pulling some Volkswagens with it, believe it or not, down to that barn I was telling you about in Bryfield. It had rained, and Adam got his truck stuck in the mud. If you didn't stay on the gravel, it was slippery mud, and he got stuck. Well, I was in my little 65 bug. We call him the chigger bug because he's a little red bug. and if you live in the South, you know what a chigger bug is. So he's the chigger. And so I was driving chigger that day. And Adam said he couldn't get the truck. I got on the back and jumped up, did everything. I said, well, I got one other suggestion. He goes, it ain't going to work. We tied a daggum chain to the back axle of the chigger bug and to the front bumper and chigger bug pulled that F100 out of the mud. If we had digital recording at the time, there'd be video.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
I got
that'd be one of those videos nobody believed. They'd say, "Oh,
yeah, I know.
I
wish I had video of that. Baby.
Yeah.
One more Adam Simpson story. We were getting ready for the Tannehill Volks Jam and had gone out the week before and camping out and kind of walking through it. And he was in his bus. On the way out, his bus just quit. And so I drive over. I'm in Hines. I drive over and I said, well, have you checked the coil? Because we had gone through everything. I said, did you check your coil? Sure enough, the coil is bad. And he happened to have one. And he had all these parts and tools and all that stuff. And he asked me, well, don't you carry parts and tools like that? I said, No, man, mine, you know what, doesn't break. A week later, I'm driving on 150, not 2 miles from his house, and Heinz just stops. So I suck it up. I call Adam. And after about 5 minutes of ridicule and laughing, he comes and saves me. My points had gone bad. But guess what? Don't ever say that your excrement doesn't break, because it will.
Oh yeah, that's how we started this, because that's what I was saying. We know if we drive these old cars that they're gonna break down eventually. It's not about that though. Really, there's always a story in the rescue, or in the victory of getting it running again, or whatever. And to me,
the friendship.
It's turf with the territory. I'm used to it. I'm okay with it. I got AAA, baby. I'm good.
I got friends too. Did you have another one? Okay. But, and that's another thing. I'll call Adam, and now I can call Donnie, or Donnie can call me. And there's always somebody that, again, it goes back to the other question about what do you like about the Volkswagen community?
Yeah.
If I got a problem, we don't have breakdowns. We have adventures.
That's right. And that's a good way to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's shift gears just a little bit, because I want to talk about the DJ career just for a moment. So in the life timeline of your life, when did the DJ career start?
When I was in college, it would have been in 1986. No, 85. I was at the University of Alabama, and I did play DJ when I was little, a little bit, because I've always been in theater and all that kind of stuff. But I got a phone call with the wrong number. It was a girl who was a program director of one of the local radio stations in Tuscaloosa. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to call my friend so-and-so. I need a winner. Nobody's called in. Would you be my winner?" I went, "Yeah, what am I going to win?" She goes, "A DeBarge album." I went, "Well, okay." What the heck, DeBarge, woo-woo. But, of course, nobody even knows who that is anymore. But in the 80s, they were big. So we started talking, and she said, "Well, I've got a weekend part-time position if you're interested in the job." And I was thinking, you know what? I need beer and gas. So, yeah, I'm interested in the job. I was 40-some years ago, and I'm still doing it.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So at what point then did Heinz come into the picture to essentially become a mobile DJ booth?
I don't remember exactly what situation, but it was one of those things where I was going to DJ an event. Like a lot of times I'll DJ like fall festivals and things like that. And it was one of those kind of events. And I don't think there was actually an official DJ area. There wasn't a place for me to sit. I said, "Well, heck, I'll just pop my top." And the good thing about that is this is like my little den. This is like my own little, so I got my little cooler, my ice box and everything. So I can keep my beer and food cold, set my awning up and sit outside, put the speakers up. And it just kind of was a natural, it was, I guess the best way to put it is it was the most logical answer to a problem. And it kind of was like, well, this is a great idea. So I've DJ'd a lot of, I even DJ'd, but we're into horses. We had a horse show not far from the house. I DJ'd the horse show out of the side of the bus. It was the interesting culture shock. This bus was at a horse show with all these cowboys and pickup trucks, and me in my cowboy hat, but wearing a tie-dye shirt. It was like, whoa, clash.
Do you have over the course of time, looking back at the bus essentially being used as a DJ booth, do you have a most memorable gig or anything like that stands out?
Well, it's hard to say because there's so many of them, and so many of them that were fun. I would think that, oh yeah, there is one that stands out, and I'll tell you why. In Birmingham, they have what they call the Birmingham Motoring Club, and it's really they say they're about European cars, but they're really more high-end British sports cars. Now, one of my other loves is Fiat, and I've got one. I thought, well, that's great. It's European, and they wanted me to DJ it. I thought, well, I'll just bring the bus because, well, needless to say, with all these fancy, shiny, highly polished, not a single patinaed car in the group, I stood out like a sore thumb. I DJ'd that one year. Those, you were talking about the nice people in the Volkswagen group. Let's just say nice things about the Volkswagen people. Because there's a reason I never DJ'd that show again.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was memorable because I was laughing the whole time about, wow, Do I ever stick out like a sore thumb here? But you know what? I was having a good time anyway, so I didn't care.
Yeah. So YouTube, you've got some experience with YouTube. How does the YouTube community, compare to the VW community? Is there any type of a relation there for you?
Well, it's hard to say because we're still in our infancy. We hadn't
Okay.
been doing it for what, maybe 6 months.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
We don't have very many videos or very many views.
We put up a couple of videos about 2 years ago, but I didn't have good editing software, and it kind of fell by the wayside. But about 6 or 7 months ago or so, when we started working on this, we've got one video of this guy where we redid some stickers. But every now and then we'll have a sticker ceremony, is what I call it. And I started that when the kids were little, and because that was a big deal to put stickers on the bus, So if they did something well, got good grade, whatever, I'd say, we'll have a sticker ceremony. And that just meant you find a spot, stick a sticker up. Well, we had a big sticker ceremony out in the front yard because some of them had gotten old. And I got that on a video. But most of the videos right now are us working on either our 62 or 63 Falcon. Those are the projects we've got going the hardest and heaviest right now. Once we get those further along and more to completion, the next one I really want to do is that 63 Beetle. That one's coming up real, that'll be up next pretty soon. So
that'll be a really fun project.
That's going to be a fun project because we'll go through building the Okrasa engine and everything.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's going to be exciting. I'll follow along.
Prater's Mechanical Mystery Tour. I'm a big Beatles fan. So it's Prater's Mechanical Mystery Tour, which is play on Magical Mystery Tour.
What has wrenching on old VWs taught you about life?
Probably it had introduced me to this little thing called patience.
Yeah, amen. So patience is your answer. No problem.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the biggest part of it. But I tell you another part of it too, because I've wrenched on these things with so many people, it's also taught me a lot about friendship, camaraderie.
Yeah, that's great. Donnie, how about you? Any difference?
Well, very similar, but it also teaches you how to get creative.
That's great.
One thing is, and you can ask Adam too, another thing, Adam always says, there's going to be 3 things left on this world when the apocalypse happens. That's cockroaches, Keith Richards, and Heinz the bus. Because this bus is, we got duct tape, bungee cords, ratchet straps, sheet metal screws, license plate floors. It's not a pristine bus. The whole fiberglass top is held on with nothing but bungee cords, ratchet straps. The rear seal for the hatch is gone, and this bus has been wrecked in the rear, and it's full of Bondo, and it's cracked and missing. So our rear seal consists of a roll of Gorilla Tape. All the handles for the camper interior are missing, and so we use tent stakes to push in and open them up. You get creative with fixing your cars and figuring out how to keep it going
especially when you drive it all the time.
Yeah, and you either don't have time to do it right or parts aren't really as available. No, I know for a Volkswagen, you can literally buy almost anything to buy a new Volkswagen or build a new Volkswagen. But, sometimes it's hard to find like these little camper interior handles because 68 and 69 are unique. And so the ones you get now are for the later models. And so I can't really, you have to customize them. And I got one that works. And I have to find some others for the other handles. And anyway, you get creative. You figure out how do I get to work on Monday kind of thing,
Yeah.
How do I get like that mustache bar I was telling you about. I had to cut it. I had to beat it. I had to retap some threads for the motor mount. You just
that was all because we don't want to mess up the other mustache bar when we put the real engine in it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that sounds awesome. So great. That was awesome. Good life lessons, patience, camaraderie, friendship, and Donnie, what you said, love it. So let me ask you both too. If somebody listening maybe to this episode is inspired by hearing your story, hearing your background, and they maybe want to get into the VW scene, what advice would you give them?
Probably find somebody who knows about Volkswagens and learn before you go to and let them help you find one, because there's a lot of people. I have a couple of friends who bought Volkswagens from people who slapped a coat of paint on one that really shouldn't have been on the road and things like that. But the other thing is to just be open to everybody wanting to help. Just be open and enjoy. And don't, I mean, I'm the worst. I'll be the first one to tell you, just kind of enjoy it and don't get all stressed. But I'll be the first one to get stressed about stuff. Mm-hmm. But just enjoy it and chill. Don't be stressed. Just enjoy the search, enjoy the obtaining, and then enjoy the driving and the community.
How about you, Donnie? What advice would you give somebody that is not in the VW scene now that's looking to maybe get into it?
I would say on more of the mechanical side, don't be afraid. First of all, they're super simple. You can't, it's not easy to mess it up. It's very, at least in my mind, maybe it's different for other people, but to me, they're very simple. Everything just makes sense. It goes together one way. You can only put it together one way. Everything is super easy to take apart, unless if it's rusted, of course. But even then, you figure out ways around that.
There's that creativity coming up.
That creativity. Parts are plentiful. So if you mess something up, you could probably get another one. Unless if you have one of those super ultra rare Beetles. But, someone who's just getting in, you're probably going to buy a mid-70s Beetle.
Yeah.
Where everything is remade. What else? I would say it would probably be best for you to learn how to do it yourself, because you got a lot of people out there now that say they know how to work on air-cooled Volkswagens that really don't. All these shade tree mechanics that tell you and that promise you that, hey, I know how to work on one of these Volkswagens, and it's really, they grew up working on Chevys their whole life kind of thing.
Like that's a bad thing.
Well, but you got to remember, these are nothing like any American car. The closest would be a Chevy Corvair, which I actually own one, funny enough. But even those, those are another one where you don't know, not a lot of people know how to work on a Chevy Corvair.
It's difficult.
And actually, funny enough, a lot of the people that own Corvairs that I've learned since owning my Corvair has been that a lot of them have started in Volkswagens, or a lot of them have, it's all the air-cooled community kind of thing, big air-cooled community. And so that's another thing, is make sure you find good friends that know how to help you or know what they're doing, That way, when you do get one, you have someone that can help you and get it done correctly to where you'll have the best outcome possible when driving your Beetle.
Yeah.
Todd, this one's just for you. All right. Okay. Just for you. Biggest life lesson that you've learned by living inside of a bus in your past?
Oh, wow. And I did that twice. The first time I lived in a park, and it was the biggest life lesson. Probably the first time wasn't as bad because I didn't have kids at the time. The second time I lived in this bus, I lived in a van down by the river, literally, for about 5 months while we were looking for a house. Kids were still in school. My biggest life lesson is the most important thing is your family, because I was away from them except on weekends. But I was living down we moved from Chelsea, Alabama to Selma. I was in Selma living at Griffith Park. They were still in Chelsea going to school, and so I lived in the bus through the summer up until they came down in August for school. And it killed me to be away from them. Now, it was cool the first couple of weeks, because everybody loves to have a little time to themselves.
Sure.
And Lord knows, it's funny you asked that, because I found a memory on Facebook today where I was talking about this very thing. And one of my friends said, yeah, but look at it this way. You do get to see them. You can Skype with them, and you're camping. And that's true. But being with my family, being with my kids and my wife was more important to me than Skyping and camping. And so I think the biggest life lesson, again, the long roundabout way to get to it, is there's nothing more important than being with your family and being there with them live and in person.
Yeah, man. I've been away, and I know what it's like to come home and miss things like first steps, first haircuts, first teeth being lost. I missed all that because I was chasing the buck. And I'm at a point in my life now where I do what I want. I don't do what I have to do. And for many years, I had to do what I had to do, to get these kids fed and to put a roof over their head. So, yeah, man, nothing more important in life than family. So I vibe with that. I feel that. Of course I vibe with it. We all get along here in this community.
Yeah.
So, all right. I got some rapid fire style questions. These are questions that are going to try to get you to give me a fast answer.
Cool.
I'm all right if you both answer. All right. So whoever wants to go first, don't matter to me. All right. Money, no object. Favorite VW model of all time. If you're going to work on it, go ahead. Favorite one.
Volkswagen thing. I dream of it.
I think if I had, money, no object, and I was to go and buy a Beetle or buy a Volkswagen, it would have to be a 58 or 59 ragtop semaphore Beetle, European market Beetle. I love
right-hand drive.
No, left-hand drive probably, because that's just what I'm used. And it sounds it. What am I trying to say? Our buddy Adam Simpson, he has one, and I remember when I was just a baby riding in it. And I thought it was just the coolest. I love the Batwing wheels. I love the big fat needle. I love the fuel tap on the floor. I love ragtop Beetles.
Yeah, he called it a laptop sunroof.
At that point, yeah. Snowflake taillights, the interesting oddball 36 horse. I always thought those are the neatest little things. And so if I could buy any, it'd be a 58 or 9 ragtop semaphore Beetle.
Got it. Good. Great. And Todd, I have a 74 thing.
Oh man.
Yep, that's my girl, and my wife has a 71 Carmen Ghia.
Oh man.
Yeah, another beautiful car, Irish green from the factory, and
favorite color.
One owner, female.
Wow.
We found it in a barn in Pennsylvania with 46,000 original miles on it.
You gotta be kidding.
That is incredible.
That is incredible.
Yep. So my wife has that, and she loves it. Absolutely loves it. All right, back to this. How about least favorite VW model? If you had to pick one, least favorite.
411.
411. I like the 411s and the 412. I thought they were cool. Anything air cooled, I love. I'd probably have to go with the new ID Buzz. I just don't really care for it.
Oh well, if you're gonna go that, I think.
Well, it's any, so that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take it. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's all good. That's why I ask. How about most expensive part, VW part, 50, 60-year-old part that you've ever purchased?
Transmission, probably.
Probably, yeah, the transmission for this bus.
Okay.
I put a 6-rib in it.
All right.
But I paid $500 for it when I bought it.
Best roadside fix that you've ever pulled off?
Best roadside fix I've ever pulled off would probably be... The what? Yeah, that's a good one. I was getting on I-65 heading south, and it was a situation where the merge lane was running out, and there was a cliff, and I was going to try to be a bad Mamma Mia and get in front of the big truck that wouldn't let me in. I hit the accelerator, it broke. And Chigger Bud was fast back then, but I found a twist tie off of a bread, and it luckily broke right behind the pedal, so I did the twist tie, and it got me home until I could put a new cable on.
All right, that's a roadside fix.
Yeah,
sounds
twist
awesome.
ties, baby.
How about dream DJ gig? Any venue, anywhere in the country?
Probably somewhere on the coast. I love the ocean. I love the water. I love, something like that. Somewhere on the coast, which I've kind of done, but not actually on the water.
Okay.
My actual dream DJ gig would be the space station.
Ooh. All right, that's very cool. Yeah. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and it's a peninsula, and I'm surrounded by water on all sides. And our big events and stuff that we have, our VW events, there's usually water in all sides and all aspects of the picture. So
awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. I love the thing. Probably Todd, similar to you. I like being able to pull the top off to put the windshield down and to ride around town almost like I'm in a stinking motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool feeling.
I love it. I want that feeling one day.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Strangest item that you've ever found inside of a project car?
I had a 59 bus for a little while.
Ooh,
and I wish I'd have never sold the daggum. There was a 59 15 window.
Oh my goodness.
And I saw it on the Samba for sale again,
it wasn't too long ago. It was like $25,000.
Yeah, I wish I'd have kept that daggum bus. But
right,
apparently it had been a hippie bus. There were gourds and other interesting homemade musical instruments. And they had put a door behind the front seats. They had like a little half moon, like a outhouse, but it was wood behind the seats with a door. And that's another interesting thing. It was a 59 walkthrough.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, very rare.
Yeah, I'm a dummy.
Yeah, no.
And I recently bought a 83 Jetta. Very, very solid, all original car, 5-speed manual, gasoline engine. Super. I love the thing. And I was going through the glove box. I found some really cool paperwork from technically not the original owner. He was the second owner, but he owned it since 1985.
Whoa.
But in it was a corn cob pipe from, where was it? I think it was an Indian reservation.
Yeah.
Out west somewhere. And
did it have sage or did it have weed in it?
It was empty. It's unused. He just bought it and left it in there.
Yeah, that's one thing I hadn't been lucky enough to find in any of my buses.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Some found its way into the bus, but I didn't find it in the bus.
How about most underrated tool for working on these cars?
I would say the one that I've used the most, that have come in the most handy, is the flywheel gland nut tool that you can also put on the axle nuts.
Yes, that's a good.
Those things are a lifesaver.
Yes, they are.
Being able to just use a regular little ratchet to crack those things loose.
That's amazing.
So nice.
That's true.
All right, just another good question for both of you, guys. What's one myth that people have heard about air-cooled Volkswagens that drive you both crazy?
That they're not dependable. They're not undependable. It depends on how you maintain them. Now, I will have to throw in a little caveat that a lot of the parts you get today are not of the same quality as the original Volkswagen parts, mind you. But I've driven this bus all over the Southeast. There have been a lot of times when this bus was all I had to drive or all I was driving, and it only left me stranded maybe one or two times. And one time it was that engine blow. The other time it was an engine that crapped out because of my own stupidity. So that was my fault. It wasn't the bus's fault.
I would say, I think one of the most annoying things would be you always hear people, when it comes to the late bay buses with the Type 4 engines, they go, that thing got a Porsche engine in it.
Yeah, it's got a Porsche.
No, it's a Volkswagen engine that was modified to work in the Porsche 914.
That's right.
It's actually a Volkswagen engine, not a Porsche engine.
Donnie, you're a very knowledgeable young man. It's a pleasure to hear that coming from you, for sure, man. All right, Todd, where can people find you if they want to look you guys up and tell me how to find Prater's Mechanical Mystery Tour?
It's easy. You just go to YouTube and put in Prater, Prater's Mechanical Mystery Tour, and
Prater's.
That's all right. No big deal. And I'm on Facebook, Todd Prater. And there's either going to be a Volkswagen Beetle, bus, or Falcons on my, sometimes nature scenes, but usually I have one of my vehicles. I think right now I have that picture with you talk about genetic. Me at like a year and a half or 2 years old with a Beetle and an early Falcon all together. It was like I was doomed,
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Donnie, you guys have Instagram or anything like that? Any other socials?
I do have Instagram, Hippie Double Wide.
Hippie Double Wide.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's my email address.
Donnie, how about you?
I do Instagram and Facebook, but I don't really post much about. I do have the Instagram. I do post some about the bus and stuff. What do I have it as? I think it's just Donald Prater at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Is what mine is. It's just Donald, and it's a picture of this bus and a blue Ford F-100 at a car show.
Okay. And then tell me just real quick, behind you, there are signatures all over that VW logo. Tell me what those signatures are.
That was from the Mystery Bus Camp out in 2006. And one of the friends that camped with us was a Volkswagen salesperson. He worked for the Volkswagen dealership in Montgomery. And he got this and gave it to me. And everybody that was on the camp out signed it. And it's been up there ever since. It's getting I'm going to have to get a little glue or something to stick it back on there. But
you guys You guys have come pretty close to my neck of the woods a couple times in conversation, but you just said the M word. So now I'm going to have to relate to you. So Montgomery, I had a house in Millbrook for 5 years.
Oh, I love Millbrook. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a sales manager of an air conditioning company in that area called Air Now, and they service the Prattville area. Yeah. So I had a house in Millbrook and lived there. So when you said Montgomery, I'm like, you guys are coming a little close now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his girlfriend lives in Prattville.
Oh, yeah?
We go over there all the time.
Yeah, I got a couple buddies from the Tampa Bay area that live there now, and they say that it's growing so rapidly.
It is. Yeah.
They call it Pratt Vegas.
Yeah. Right. About right. Yeah.
Yeah. They call it Pratt Vegas. And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.